You did everything right. You chased the success, you put in the work, and you checked all the boxes you were told to check. So why is there this nagging, hollow feeling inside? Why are you standing at the top of the mountain you fought so hard to climb, only to look around and think, wait, is this it? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and I promise you, you're not broken. That feeling of emptiness is actually a signal from your brain that something important is being ignored. It's a common story for high achievers. You finally get the view from the top, only to realize it's not what you expected. Today, we're going to explore the science of why that hard-won success can feel so empty. We'll uncover the psychological traps that keep ambitious people feeling hollow and lay out a disciplined path to building a sense of purpose that actually lasts. So, what's really going on in your brain? The most common trap is something psychologists call the arrival fallacy. It's the lie we've all been sold. The belief that once we hit a certain goal, the right job, the right salary, the finish line will finally arrive at a permanent state of happiness. The problem is, that's just not how our brains are wired. It all comes down to a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure molecule, but it's really the motivation molecule. It's the chemical of wanting. See, your brain doesn't spike dopamine when you achieve the goal. It spikes it most intensely during the chase. It's the biological high that keeps you pushing forward, striving and wanting more. Think of it like climbing that mountain. All your focus is on getting to the top. But the moment you reach the summit, the dopamine that fueled your entire climb starts to fade. The thrill is gone, and you're just left standing on a rock. Your brain, having already adapted to this new height, immediately starts scanning the horizon for the next mountain. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. What was once a huge achievement quickly becomes your new, unsatisfying normal. And this is how you get stuck in a vicious cycle. You get a brief high from reaching a goal, but then you crash back to your baseline, feeling disconnected and underwhelmed. So what do? You look for the next, bigger goal, convinced that this time it will be different. It's an achievement treadmill, an endless race for temporary highs that never deliver on their promise. And it leaves you with that quiet, gnawing feeling that no matter how much you accomplish, it's never enough. But what if the emptiness is more than just brain chemistry? The arrival fallacy explains why success feels like an anticlimax, but for many of us, that hollow feeling is a quiet hum in the background that's been there all along. This is because sometimes we use success to distract ourselves from what's really going on inside. Often the deepest roots of emptiness trail all the way back to our past. If you grew up feeling like you had to earn love or safety by performing, then achievement becomes more than a goal. It becomes a survival strategy. It's the lie we've all been sold. The belief that once we hit a certain goal, the right job, you learn to build your entire identity around what you can accomplish because you were taught that who you are wasn't enough. The problem is, no amount of success can heal that wound. It can only cover it up for a little while. That's why a huge win can actually make the emptiness feel worse. You finally get the one thing you thought would make you feel whole, and when it doesn't, the void feels bigger and more terrifying than ever. On top of that, the relentless chase for external goals often forces us to sacrifice one of the most basic human needs we have, real, authentic connection. High achievers are masters at sidelining relationships, rest and play for the sake of ambition. We are social animals, and we need a sense of belonging to feel whole. When you combine that loneliness with an identity that's all about what you do instead of who you are, you create a very fragile sense of self. If you grew up feeling like you had to earn love or safety by performing, we say, "I am a CEO," or "I am a lawyer," fusing our entire being to a job title. But what happens when that job ends? What happens when you retire or the project is over? Your sense of self vanishes with it. That emptiness you feel is a warning sign that your life has become all exterior, with nothing left to hold you up on the inside. You've been so busy building a life that looks good from the outside, you forgot to build one that feels good from the inside. Forging purpose, the disciplined path to fulfillment. So if that's the diagnosis, what's the cure? Well, fulfillment isn't something you stumble upon by accident. And it's not another goal you can just achieve and be done with. It's something that has to be forged day in and day out with discipline. The journey starts by shifting your entire perspective. The opposite of emptiness isn't success, it's meaning. And meaning isn't found, it's built. Here's a 3-step framework for how to build it. Step 1, the audit. Redefine what success means to you. For years, you've been chasing a definition of success that was handed to you by society, by your family, maybe even by your own younger self. When you combine that loneliness with an identity that's all about, "It's time for an audit," we need to move away from external goals, like titles and money, and toward internal metrics that are rooted in your core values. So grab a journal and ask yourself, forgetting what I'm supposed to want, what actually matters to me? Think about what gives you a sense of competence, feeling good at what you do, autonomy, feeling in control of your life, and relatedness, feeling connected to others. These are 3 core psychological needs we all have. Your current life might be acing competence but failing at relatedness, and that imbalance feels like emptiness. Be brutally honest here. This audit is your blueprint. Step 2, the action. Build aligned rituals, not bigger goals. Once you're clear on your values, it's time to line up your actions with them. This isn't about setting more ambitious goals. It's about building better systems. Instead of obsessing over the finish line, learn to love the process. If you decided you value growth, what's a daily ritual you can build around that? Maybe it's reading for 30 minutes. If you value health, maybe it's a daily walk that you never, ever miss. These rituals give you a sense of progress every single day. They provide those small, consistent hits of dopamine from the process itself, instead of making you wait for one massive, unsustainable spike at the end. This is how you find joy in the journey, not just the destination. It's about building a life of disciplined habits that are fulfilling in and of themselves. And this absolutely includes the non-negotiables: sleep, good nutrition, and exercise. Step 3, the connection, the discipline of looking outward. The final and most powerful antidote to emptiness is to turn your focus outward. A life of meaning is almost always a life of service in some form. When we feel empty, our focus naturally shrinks and turns inward. Contribution yanks you out of your own head and connects you to something bigger than yourself. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job and change the world overnight. It means finding small ways to give, create, or help within the life you already have. Mentor someone starting out in your field. Use your skills to help a local community group. Volunteer for a cause that aligns with your values. This builds a deep, unshakable sense of purpose that no external achievement can ever touch. That feeling of emptiness isn't a sign you're broken. It's a call to action from the part of you that's ready for something more real. You have the power to change this story. Fulfillment isn't a destination you arrive at. It's the daily act of forging meaning. So I want to leave you with a question to think on. Drop your answer in the comments below. What is one truth about what you truly want that you are no longer willing to ignore?